Hi there, I'm Jacob from the Gay Gooner podcast. Today we're joined by Jacob Jefferson from Gay Gooners. Welcome to the show.
Hi, very pleased to be here.
Yeah, so reason we brought you on, obviously, it is the 10-year anniversary of Gay Gooners approaching. Our sort of sales have been putting about social media kind of about the group and sharing fan stories. And unfortunately, it's come with a bit of backlash. But before we get to that, if you can just kind of tell us like where Gay Gooners started over the last 10 years, kind of what they've been up to and what they've achieved.
Yeah, so we were sort of officially founded in 2013. We've now got, I think we're approaching 1,400 members. That's worldwide. So it's not just in the UK. But yeah, we've grown ever since over those 10 years. Obviously, mainly about going to games. We share tickets with each other. We go to games all together. Social aspect as well, and then obviously engaging with the club as a voice. So campaigning on, stamping out homophobia in football. Working with the club to make it more inclusive for our fans and be a voice in general about inclusion and against all forms of discrimination. And also as an official supporters club, we're generally able to input into lots of things. So we have representation on the fans advisory board, and those sorts of things. Constant voice to the club. And I've only been on the committee since September, so more of a recent thing for me. I've been a member of the group for 5 years, but it's it's a really, really lovely, welcoming place. Has made me feel a lot more comfortable in football. And for all of our members, it has. We're of all ages. We've got sort of a 50-50 split in our membership between men and women as well, which is really great. And then a lot of our female members are a lot more into the women's game, and Arsenal women's, and we're sort of trying to, as that grows, we're growing that side of our group as well. And it's really, really lovely to mark 10 years. And Arsenal were putting on some really nice things for us on Saturday. To mark that and across the next week, as you've seen on social media. But I know for the Brentford game, we've got a five-a-side tournament going on in the Arsenal Hub in the morning.
Okay.
And there'll be stuff in the programme celebrating us. And I think it's me doing it. It might not be me. It might be me doing a pitch-side interview before the game to talk to Nigel. And then next week, we've also got, on our actual anniversary, we've got an event with the club, sort of a quiz Q&A thing with. I'm not going to say who, because I feel like if I say who it's with, then you might get people trying to join in. I feel like it's only people who are signed up to our newsletter will know. But we've got with the former players doing Q&A with us as well online, so that's really good. And really so grateful to the club for their support. Their constant support from us. And there's obviously a lot more to do. Always progress to be made, but we always feel really welcomed by them and feel like our voices are included in everything.
Yeah, so for you personally then, joining kind of halfway through the cycle of the organisation, what attracted you? I presume you'd been an Arsenal fan for longer, so what kind of what interested you at first, kind of motivated you to first join the group?
Yeah, so I've been an Arsenal fan since probably about 6 years old, and I was 18 when I joined the group. I think it was about trying to find your Arsenal family. I guess didn't necessarily feel that comfortable talking about my being gay in a football environment, because there is, and I think there's been a lot of progress even in those 5 years, but it was sort of underlying homophobia. Obviously, there's not many sort of out gay players. We still have it now. Obviously, it's not as frequent as it was. There's still homophobic chanting sometimes you get. And I think it was really an Arsenal family for me, and a group of people who I knew I'd be welcomed with. Made me feel valued and made me feel comfortable in my skin more around football. There was a second part to your question, which I think I've forgotten. Maybe there wasn't.
No, I think you've covered it all with that one. Yeah, so obviously if I'm right, Gay Gooners was the first LGBT like football group.
Yeah, definitely in the UK, first one. Yeah, we say we're the biggest and the oldest in the UK. Maybe someone might fact check that and say there's one club might have been around, but I think in terms of being properly recognised by the club, we're definitely the first. And having official supporters group status and being properly valued in that way.
Yeah, so obviously the club, as you said, making you an official fan group has kind of embraced everything. It's well known to be quite a diverse fan group across the world from all corners of the UK. And you can see it in the Emirates as well. It's very diverse.
Yeah.
So how do you feel like, well, two parts. How do you feel the club, like in general, embraces the group? And with your role as a fan group, kind of what does that entail? Like we've seen a lot recently on some fan groups making decisions about, having input about season tickets or the new murals that have gone up. Were you guys involved in that as well?
Yeah. So, on things like ticketing, that's those issues will go to the fan advisory board, and we have representation on that. And our representative on that makes sure that it's not just his opinions. He's representing the whole group, and there's ways to feed back to him on all sorts of issues. And yeah, I mean, on the stadium, the stadium exterior, for example, there was a group of fans, from all sorts of groups. We had one person there again, representing us. In terms of Arsenal as a whole, in terms of how they sort of accept us and take us on, contributing towards things like the halftime video that there is about anti-discrimination is one thing. And to us, we'd like to expand on that video, about all forms of discrimination as well. Not just be about homophobia, but all forms of discrimination. Where we provided training to stewards on how to sort of identify homophobic chanting and how to deal with it. And that was I think that was quite a big thing for us. I think we've just helped Arsenal as a club have aims to reach out to more people who traditionally maybe weren't that interested in football and find ways to connect with a bigger fan base, especially all around the world. And I guess we're able to do some of that on their behalf. And that's really great. We have monthly meetings with some Arsenal staff. We're always able to feedback, if there's been incidents of homophobic chanting or that kind of thing. Obviously, that does. We hope that's not all of our meetings, and we also we don't want to be the police of that kind of stuff. That's not our job to just be the people who moan about lots of things. We want to be a positive group, and we just want to create an atmosphere where all of our fans feel very welcome.
Yeah, and in general, how does the Emirates feel? Is it do you get many issues, or is it generally quite a positive place?
Look, there are incidents sometimes of homophobia. Even this season, we've had members who've had to report comments. But I think overwhelmingly it is a welcoming place and has become a more welcoming place. The football as a whole, isn't necessarily. You just have to look at where the last World Cup was. But I think Arsenal's always led the way on these sorts of things, and I think we're really proud of that. And what we can do to help them lead the way is kind of key to what we try to do with them. Really, there are still incidents, but they're less frequent, and I think as a group we become a lot more accepted. And as it reflects wider society, and as those things progress more, we're accepted more, and that's really what we want. We don't want special treatment. We just want to be. We just want to feel comfortable at a game in the same way that all other fans or most other fans do. We always say, I doubt it'll be the case, but we want to be in a situation where we don't really need to exist in 10, 15, 20 years, that kind of thing, because there's not necessarily anything that's different from our fans to normal fans. We all want the same thing. We want to enjoy supporting our club, and we want Arsenal to win.
Yeah, you touched on the World Cup there. Do you feel like the UK or the kind of on a scale like the Emirates, the UK in general, and then the wider world? Like, is there a difference? Is it pretty universal? Do you feel like some places are better than others?
Yeah, you just have to look at fans not being able to have rainbow flags out in the World Cup, and in general the the official government advice kind of was to LGBT fans that you probably shouldn't go, and that was disappointing. But it's kind of a statement of fact about the acceptance there. So yeah, and the World Cup being there was very disappointing. I think a lot, at least in our group, a lot of people felt very let down by the England team not making more of a statement against it. Understood why, but still felt quite let down. And again, we were during the World Cup, we were trying to be quite active on in the media, getting to speak to outlets about what our fans thought about the World Cup. Try to influence.
Yeah, no, fair enough. In terms of then other fans in the stadium, obviously you said there are incidents, even if they are kind of not everywhere. What can the other fans in the stadium kind of do to, either help, support, kind of just change those last few bits that need sorting?
Yeah, the thing that Arsenal say is to report it, and there's ways in the programme. It's shown on at half time how to report those incidents. As I said, we don't like being the police. We don't like being the people who report lots of people. So ideally, you just talk to someone and explain to them why that's unacceptable. There's lots of words you can use to insult people at football that aren't a few words which make some people feel very uncomfortable and hurt. So I really think obviously you should report things, and it's important to report things. But what's more important is actually having a conversation with that person and try to understand where they're coming from, and try and inform them on why what they're saying is hurtful towards people. And I think I give an example. There was I think it was a Brighton home game last year. There were a few reports of homophobia, but most of the people who reported the homophobia were straight people, straight allies, and I think that's just a nice sign, a good signifier that people who aren't LGBT are actually doing their bit to make the stadium experience welcoming.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Hopefully, anyone watching it kind of just doesn't overlook anything from here on out if they are, because obviously, as you said, there are lots of abusive. Some may be considered harmless by some people throwing them out, but obviously,
yeah. Look, I don't think it's done out of hate. I think it's just done out of ignorance. I guess people not understanding really the impact that those words can have, and I don't think most of the time no one's intending to say something that is homophobic or that will really hurt people. But I just think people don't think a lot of the time. So I guess it's just trying to get them to think. And obviously, I assume you're going to allude to it, but obviously social media is a separate kind of thing. And that's a bigger thing, because obviously what you put online you wouldn't necessarily say in person, and you don't even know it. If those people who are commenting are just anonymous trolls, they might not even be real Arsenal fans. And we were pleased that sometimes I think you have the view: do you just ignore them? Do you just not even address it? But Arsenal today decided to put out a statement saying they blocked lots of accounts who'd made homophobic comments, and we really support them on doing that, and we're pleased they took a stand, because I think it's gone on long enough where every single time there's anything about our group or Pride Month that there's so many of those comments. I think it's probably time that Arsenal did actually take a bigger stand against it, and we're really pleased that they did.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans, obviously the overall reaction was pretty positive that the club did that. Obviously that kind of backlash and the club putting out a statement was kind of what first led me to reach out to you, because it is incredible. Like, I don't normally go through the comment sections, but when I was going through it, it was crazy. But yeah, I mean, as long as the club's taking a stand.
Yeah, it's upsetting, I think, if you sit and read those comments. I usually try to avoid it, but sometimes you just because I read through it because I just want to see lots of positive comments about our group. But I think it is quite upsetting. I mean, it's happened a lot, and I'm glad that and again, that means that hopefully, if people want to be able to follow the Twitter account, Arsenal Twitter account, that are homophobic, they might just not comment, and that makes everyone's lives easier.
Yeah, definitely. As I said, it's great to see the club kind of doing work with you guys, trying to make it a more positive atmosphere for everyone, because the more Arsenal fans that are all uniting together, the better that stadium's going to be. So I'm all for doing everything we can to just improve everyone's experience. But yeah, going on to generally then, Arsenal season so far, what have you made of it? I'm sure it's pretty positive reaction.
Yeah, I mean, I'm too young to remember the Invincibles, so I've really had a couple of half title chases. The Eduardo season, the season round Ramsey got injured, and then Leicester, where we thought the Leicester year where we thought we might win it. I've never had anything like this, and it's been amazing, especially being lucky enough to I've been to every home game, I've been to a handful of away games this season. Lucky enough to see that all in the flesh is amazing. I feel very privileged. If I had to go one way, I'd probably still say I don't know how. I think the game against City next week will really show if we win that, then I'd probably say we're going to win the league. If we lose that, then I'd say maybe not. But who knows what's going to happen with City anyway with the issues that they have. I expect it won't impact this season, but maybe next. But it's been really lovely, and I think what's been so nice is how close the players feel to the fans and the connection there, especially in the stadium. And I think we didn't have that, in the latter years under Wenger. And obviously it's even harder through the pandemic. That connection between the fans and the players really wasn't there. But I think it's been there this season, and it was there last season. I think for a lot of the season as well. In the past, it would be inconceivable to think that after we conceded in the Emirates Stadium, our fans would get up and cheer them on. But that's what happens now every time we concede a goal, which isn't that often anyway. Luckily, it's been an amazing season, and I feel incredibly lucky. It's felt too easy sometimes. I think we need a loss every now and again just to remind you how good the wins feel. Obviously, it was disappointing to lose to Everton, but because City lost to Spurs, it was it was okay. Like, it's good to be brought down to earth once in a while. But we've got a tough run coming up. But if we can get through these next few games into March, we've got a bit of an easier run. Then I think we can go into that international break 5 to 10 points clear still, and I think we're in a good position. It'd be incredible. I don't even know. I feel like I've been waiting my whole life for this potential moment. And it's been amazing so far.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with you on needing a reality check. I'd quite happily go from being the first team to be invincible to the first team to win all 38 games. I'd quite happily do it. But yeah, I know what you mean. And it just kind of refocuses everything, shows you kind of where we are, how great it is to be in the position, particularly after the last few years. So I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. Obviously, next 2 games are home games, Brentford and Man City. I want a score prediction for both of them.
Okay. Brentford 3-1 Arsenal. So I think we'll win 3-1 against Brentford. I think we'll draw 1-1 with Man City. I've thought, as you've said, I've thought about that for 2 seconds. But I'll go with those.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, I think I agree with you on the Brentford game. I'm gonna go for a 2-1 win at home against City. I did have draw in my head at one point, but I get more positive week by week, so I'm going to go with it.
Yeah, they were nothing special against us in the cup, really, and they were pretty bad against Spurs as well. So hopefully, if they continue that very average performance, but to us, I think the 2 away games we've got after that could be nearly as tough against Villa and Leicester, and then we've got a bit of an easier run. But I think I keep forgetting. I keep thinking, we could slip up against this team, but then I remember, like, we're top of the league for a reason, and that's because we are actually beating every team. So I shouldn't stress or worry too much.
Yeah, shaking off those previous demons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Finally, where can people find both the group and yourself if you want to promote yourself on social medias?
Yeah, I mean, so our Twitter is at Gay Gooners, and we're on Instagram as well. And if people want to join, and you don't have to be LGBT to join. We have lots of straight allies, members, and it's free to be a member as well. There's a link on our Twitter and Instagram to join, and we also have pre-match meetups before every home game and before every women's game as well now. And so the information for that is on our our newsletter once you've signed up. And for this whole month we're doing on Twitter, we're doing every day. I've been doing it. The moment I wake up, first thing I do is post our member spotlight. So we've got quotes from. I haven't quite got the full ones for the month yet. I'm still chasing a few people down, but we've got this far into the month, and I've still got about a week's worth of tweets from our members saying what our group means to them. So check those out as well.
Brilliant. And yeah, as always, my handle can be found below me, and our podcast is at Daily Gooner Pod. So yeah, follow us there for more information. Thank you very much.
Cheers.